So in light of today's theme, our first guest on the couch is writer and blogger Shana Fife. She joins us to talk through her experience with abuse and how that led her to becoming a really successful blogger. Her blog, titled Into a Housewife, details an intimate and honest journey. Please welcome her to the show. How are you, Shana?
Thanks. I'm good. How are you doing?
I am so good, and I absolutely enjoy your blog so much just because of the brutal honesty that you share in it. So it's called Into a Housewife,
yes.
But that was a working title because it was something else before. What was it before?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what it was before. It was called Just a Hoe with Babies.
Yeah.
The Into a Housewife is kind of how my life has changed, and now I got married, had children. But the blog that spoke about the gender-based violence specifically was the previous one.
The previous one. Why did you feel the need to write it?
So during the abuse, because I think the abuse went on up until the death of my abuser, I felt very alone. I think that abuse isolates you. Besides the physical part of it, there's a mental prison that you kind of put yourself into. Yeah. And I felt that everybody who loved me was tired of hearing about the things I was complaining about. And there was just this one day where I was sitting with my newborn baby and I was alone. And
your newborn baby, whose father was the abuser?
Was the abuser, yes.
Okay.
And I just felt like I need to tell somebody, I just started writing. I was a journalist at the time, so writing was what I did. But I'd never sat down and written about myself. It was always about other people. And I just sat down and I wrote about it. And when I posted it, the response that came back kind of felt like, okay, wow, I've touched something. I've tapped into something. Yeah. And then I just kept writing, and that's how it grew, and I just kept doing it.
Can I tell you why you touched on something? Is because obviously the country is going through, and the world at the moment is going through such a radical epidemic of violence on women. I've been in an abusive relationship before. I think so many women have. I remember a piece that you wrote in your blog detailing how your abuser had put you in the car and drove purposefully to crash without you having a seatbelt on. Mm. Oh, the level of abuse. How, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, how do you get to that point where you're in such a deeply abusive relationship and you're not getting out of it?
I think you get there very slowly, because the abuse didn't start immediately. So I can only speak from my perspective and what I experienced, but it was slow. He was somebody I knew for a long time. We went to school together, we went to church together. We were best friends for about a year or so before we started dating, and I'd never seen that side of him. And as soon as I'd agreed to be his girlfriend, slowly I started to see changes. Yeah. And it's not big things. It didn't start off with being physical. He didn't hit me the first time, because then I would have left. It's kind of, the more you fall in love, the more you notice the scary things. And then a year or so down the line, you in a car that's purposefully being crashed, because the car did crash. He reversed into a wall to hurt me. Luckily, I was fine, but how it got to that moment, can I say that it was slow and fast at the same time? Yeah. Because when we're in that moment, I did
your life
think,
slows down at that speed, sure.
How did we get here? You just crashed the car. And you wanted to hurt me. But it's slow. You see them first, they pinch you, because that was the first thing that happened to me. I got pinched because I said something out of line. Exactly. I was told, why did you say that? And then the next time I got pinched and then got hugged too tightly. And you kind of think, am I being abused? Am I not being abused? Yeah. And then a couple of months later, you in a car crash.
They make as if you're going crazy.
I thought I was going crazy for a while.
So your blog details all of this with such beautiful writing and such beautiful details. You are now in a very happy, very loving relationship.
Yes, I am.
So I want to know that narrative, how it changes for you, and how you will, like for a lot of people, it's difficult to allow yourself to be loved after being in such an awful relationship. So,
you're right.
So tell me about that growth that you've done.
So I think I still struggle with it. I'd be lying if I said I don't have emotional scars from my abusive relationship. A lot of the time now, even though I'm married and I've been with my husband for about 4 or 5 years now, I still have days where I'm scared of him. Like in my head, I have this, oh my God, oh my gosh, oh no, it's fine, you can relax, it's different now. But it's a slow thing. And it was also easy because I could tell him everything. My husband kind of had read my blog, sort of, before we started dating. So he kind of knew that he was stepping into
He had
weird
to have read it,
territory.
I think, so that he knew,
So that he
maybe
knew
learned
what-
how to love you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot, but it's something that has to happen every day. I also like to talk through it with him. So when, let's say he touches my hand, you know, it's hard to be intimate, and I mean intimate even as in holding hands. When the last time somebody held my hand, it was to pull me away or hit me,
Yeah.
you know? So now sometimes when he grabs my hand, then I kind of have a moment of scared, it's fear. But it's a day-by-day process.
And now you've learned that you've grown into a whole person, and you know that you deserve that beautiful kind of love.
I do feel that way now.
Good.
I certainly do, especially now that I'm a mom.
Good. If you are going through an abusive relationship, or if you have been before and you don't know how to get out of it, please do yourself a favor and go and read this very beautifully written blog. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.